Welcome to the Art Elevator. This is your co host, Larissa Weil,
With Sarah Rita.
and this is a special little segment that we're going to be running each week for a little while about tapping into your own creativity. We're so excited that you've come back for a second episode here of Unleashing Your Creativity. Sounds like an AI sentence, doesn't it? Unleashing your creativity. What is it about that? There's certain words, like when they come out of my mouth, I'm like, oh, I feel like ChatGPT would say that word.
Yeah, and I think in the unleashing, focusing on that word, there is an interesting opportunity to consider how what have you constrained yourself with? Like, what is that leash? Because often we're the ones who are putting the leash on ourselves and our creativity without fully realizing it. And so it's an interesting metaphor to think of the ways which we might not have really even identified to ourselves of what mental, psychological kind of should, expectations have we put on ourselves that are keeping us blocked from really accessing our creativity in a free and liberated way?
Yeah, that's a really good point. That is a fantastic point because there are of course we can draw lines in the sand, where you told you have to color in between the lines. I don't know if they still do that at school, but that was a thing, right? You color in the line. Or you got grades on your creative work when you're just a youngster. A youngster. That's a funny word too. Saying words that I don't think I usually would. So this idea of, well, this your creativity has to conform to this grading system, which is completely irrelevant, other than maybe some really basic technical skills. But even those are questionable when you look at grading in school and so there's this whole idea of I'm going to do something and it's going to get graded and that's going to tell me if I'm good or not at art or good or not at music, not whether I love it or I have something to say in the world.
Yes. And I find that sometimes we ingrain those rubrics that we've been taught in ourselves so that they live rent free in our heads. It's many years later into the future. And then it almost with everything we have going on with how overwhelming the world has become over the last few years, the thought of accessing that rubric and hearing, "Oh, here are all the ways you're doing it wrong again," from our own brain, it doesn't feel fun, why would we wanna do that? And so creativity becomes tainted with all of these external judgments that were never really even relevant or appropriate in the first place, that have then just become what we assume is our relationship with creativity and how our relationship with creativity is always going to be. And speaking for myself, when I am tired and overwhelmed and I have a lot of other work shoulds that I should be doing, it just feels like a whole different planet to spend time being creative. And so I think that's one leash of just where do we untangle the things that we've absorbed about how we think we should be doing creativity that aren't necessarily true.
It's an oxymoron or an oxymoron, depending where you live. This idea of creativity needing to follow a certain path or look a certain way, that's the opposite of what creativity is. Once it follows a path or has a system, it's something else altogether. And it can be a pathway to unleash further creativity, but conforming to any kind of paradigm is not the sole essence of creativity. And so this is why we're coming to you for this second week here to bring you some space and time. And we're going to expand it to 2 minutes a day. Last week it was 1 minute a day, which we'd love to hear what you got out of that. And so in these 2 minutes a day, we'd love you to set aside time, get your tool, get the same tool, new skill, same familiar environment. So get that same tool, pencil, poetry, writing, dancing, music, whatever it was that you chose last time for 1 minute. And we want you to improvise. And this time, our prompt is going to be
Our prompt is going to be whatever your medium of choice is, commit to spend 2 minutes doing something where it's going to be bad. You just know it's going to be bad. You're not trying to make it be good. I am a big fan of the warm up drawing because I like to draw. And I have the pristine sketchbook scary page problem where it all looks so beautiful, and I know that whatever I'm gonna do that page, the pressure of it has to fit the beauty of that gleaming blank page, it just stops me from really even wanting to do it or having it feel fun or accessible. So, I have really benefited from the warm-up drawing where it's like, I know it's gonna be bad. I have no intention of it being good. Its whole point is to just get me warmed up, and so I can feel more comfortable accessing what I actually wanna do. So, you might find, this has happened to me, that you really like your bad drawing. Like, that's the surprising thing that sometimes happens, but that's not why you're doing it. You're doing it just to get the jitters out.
Yeah, that's so true. To get out of that dialogue that you've stored rent free in your brain all those years, it's like a jailbreak.
And then sometimes adding a different medium to it that you don't normally use can be helpful. Like, if you like to draw, have music you can be dancing to right before you get started, or something that connects you to a different part of the creative role in your brain so that you can mix mediums and kind of dislodge whatever's been stuck there for you.
Ooh, I love that. So that's it for this week. We just want you to take 2 minutes a day. We know you can do two because you did one last week. And if you didn't do one last week, then you're just going to have to start with two. Dive in, make it happen. And we look forward to seeing what you get out of this in the comments below.
Happy creating.
Thanks for joining us again today on the Art Elevator podcast. If you'd like to hear about new things that Sarah, Rita, and I are doing that are tapping into creativity for everybody out there, you can just email art, A-R-T, at larissawild.com, LARISSAWILD.com, and we will keep you updated on everything fun and creative that we have going on.